What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another live to roll for you. We got an awesome show today. It's going to be fun hanging out. Our friend Jenny joining the show. So let's get into some quick intros and we'll let her introduce herself. So I'm Shawn, C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago. Bobby, go ahead. And then Tom, you can.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6, living here, Southern California, loving every minute of it with the sunshine. And Tom, take it away.
What's up, everybody? Tom Conaway, C6B quadriplegic for the last 27 years. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us. Last time we got to chat was in Chi City. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I have a C6-7 spinal cord injury, and that was 35 years ago. So I think have you guys beat a little bit. So
No,
yeah,
what month, Jenny?
11th. So I just had my anniversary.
I got you beat by a few months.
Congrats.
I got you beat
You.
by a few months.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
always like to point out, I think it's really cool. I mean, between the four of us, we have over a century's worth of quad experience under our belt, which I think is a unique, awesome, thing, actually.
Oh, that is. That's
That is.
super cool, man. We definitely got the quadcast going today again. um, so yeah, no, that's awesome, Jenny. And then, do you want to tell us a little bit too about your background and stuff? I know you do some freelance writing, but you also work and do a lot of different stuff, and you're very active in the community, the disability community. Do you want to give a little bit of your background before we get into some other stuff?
Yeah, so a little bit of my work background. First of all, I'll say that my master's was in counseling psychology, but I didn't want to do that. And I ended up, for the first 8 years that I was working, distributing wheelchairs in developing countries. So that really just gave me an appreciation for what we have here in the United States. And from there, for the next 13 years, I supported people who were working in a cross-cultural context. So people who are working overseas, supporting them emotionally while they worked overseas. And the past year and a half, I've actually switched jobs. And I am now supporting people with disabilities with the emotional and spiritual impact of disability. I think we can all attest to there is a physical impact of disability, but I think the emotional impact is just as great or greater. And I just didn't see this need being filled anywhere. And so it's been really, really neat to be able to do this.
That's really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really incredible. So
So
what
what is
made
that?
you? Oh, go ahead, Bobby.
Go ahead. Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask. So, what does that entail for like day to day?
Yeah, every day is a little bit different. So on Mondays, I've been leading online groups. So it's 8 weeks long, and we go through a workbook that I've written and just going through the emotional and spiritual impact of disability. And so it's an educational online support group is what I'm calling it. And the next group will begin in September, and that will be in the evenings Eastern time. So that you are able to sign up for that at this point in time on my website at Jenny Smith Fun.
That was going to be my next question. How do I sign up?
Yeah,
I'll
Jenny
definitely
Smith
have to check out the link.
just click. Yeah, we can put the link in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will make sure to drop
Definitely,
that in the
we'll definitely make
description
sure.
as soon as we're done with the show. I'll get a link for that.
Outside of seeing a need, was there anything that particularly spurred that for you? I mean, how was your emotional and spiritual journey through your recovery? Is what that kind of like influenced you heading in this direction?
Yeah, so after my injury, I was 16 was when I was injured, and I had been a gymnast growing up. So with all the Olympics going on, there's a focus on emotional health right now and mental health that we've not seen in the past. But like a good gymnast, I knew how to stuff my emotions very well, and that's how I dealt with my injury. So I just stuffed them and I went on. And because of my experience in the gym, I was just able to view PT and OT as another workout, and was able to go back to school and pretty much immediately, even before I got discharged from inpatient rehab, and then
Wow.
back into college. And so a lot of it wasn't always healthy. um, so it really took me a while. It's kind of interesting that I ended up getting my master's in counseling psychology because it was almost by force that I had to deal with some stuff. And yeah, I'm in a much better place now. I don't stuff any longer.
Yeah.
That is good.
I
I
had
guess, guys.
a really. Go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, I said you don't stuff your emotions anymore like us guys do most of the time.
You know what? There's been very few guys who have joined the group, and I've been trying to figure out, should we just do a guys group? Would guys feel more comfortable doing an all guys group? So I don't know. So if anyone has any input, I'd be more than willing to get some input.
Yeah, no.
I'll think about that. I think
Oh,
it's a
oh,
really important thing, but also like what you said, it might be a little bit more successful in making a space just for guys. Um, my experience was similar to yours in that like I was injured very young. I was 4 years old when I was paralyzed, and I just didn't process emotionally until, or like a lot of like the acceptance and stuff until I was like much older. It was until I was like a teenager getting ready to move out and like going through high school and like becoming an adult. Like I kind of went through this very emotional period of dealing with my injury and kind of accepting my disability and that part of my identity. So I just thought that was really interesting, and I think it is kind of something that can be like a delayed fuse for a long time while we're just living life and kind of rehabilitating and getting back to some normalcy. It is like it took me several years to kind of work through and deal with a lot of the heavy emotions and a lot of the heavy stuff that came with like accepting my disability.
Yeah. Well, and we don't talk about the losses that come along with disability. And I think, until you can name those losses, we can't process those emotions and we can't grieve it. And so that's a lot of what we do in the group is just kind of even start off by, what have you lost? And until we know and can name some of that, it's really difficult to move forward.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And
Just
go ahead,
go ahead, Bob.
Tom?
No, you go, Bob.
Yeah. Do you find, there is a time, some people take a lot longer, some people are shorter, that 1 to 2 years. But you're like me, 35 years later, we're going through a different change. And uh, do you find that that comes up again with your injury? I know from time to time with the aging process of the SCI and slowing down and muscles hurt more and spasms are worse. Do you find that in any of your groups or have you come across that or of yourself?
I am seeing that more often, and I'm starting to experience that myself just with, neck and traps always being tight and really, focusing, going to PT every once in a while just to get some dry needling or cupping or having some trigger point injections, which I'm doing tomorrow. And so I'm going to be really sore the next couple days, but it's worth it in the long run. But so I think that maintenance and trying to maintain what I have is my focus because I do fear that loss of independence. I've gained so much independence, and so there's a fear of what the future holds.
That's
that's
been my journey the last couple of years, Jenny. I really love to talk to you about that sometime. Like I've gone back to doing physical therapy for the first time in 20 plus years, after my injury. And it's just exactly that. Like I had, um, I was starting to have a rougher time with some more serious chronic pain and stuff that was just affecting my independence and my mobility and like my ability to function. And I've achieved such a high degree now that like it's what I hold highest and most dear to myself too is like my ability to live independently. And it is like a scary thing. So I've taken that on like, okay, I gotta reassess, I gotta rehabilitate again, I gotta like take stock of where I'm at and make sure to like kind of understand and track my progress moving forward too, to ensure that I'm taking care of myself and balancing my care and my independence and everything in a healthy way.
Absolutely.
Tom, quick question. Has that paid off now that it's been a couple years? I know you've talked about I'm going and I'm going here, or I just got back. So is that paying off for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. The rehab, just getting back to regular exercise and stretching and exercise that I can also do at home has made a huge difference. I've worked on techniques as far as like transferring or like working on my computer even and like a lot of my ADLs and how I do things and talking about having a conversation about how I can do things better, maybe in a different way that's like less triggering to my hands. Like I very often hold my wrists and sleep even in like hyperextended positions. So I like have braces now to keep myself in more neutral positions to not like trigger the pain as much. And yes, I would say that it's made a huge difference. And I also think that one of the big things that I did too is I got a physiatrist. I got a spinal cord injury doctor. I didn't have one after moving to Southern California and leaving my one from UCSF. And just because I don't know, my PC, I didn't really realize how to even get one. It was a process to get to a like SCI, physiatrist. That was a whole process in itself. But now that I did find my guy, Dr. B, it was amazing and reassuring to have a conversation, to have someone who like really fully understands my condition and like my aging with disability, like this thing that we're all experiencing as we get older and grow into our disability. And also just like a doctor, a physician, like tracking my progress and, writing notes and justifications for my insurance and stuff and helping me facilitate this like rehabilitation process that I'm going through, more than a quarter a century into my disability. It's been huge and like also very positive for like my mental health and feeling that I have people on my team that like understand and can advocate in a meaningful way to my healthcare, the healthcare system and my medical group and stuff, because that in itself is very overwhelming and difficult when often when I feel like I'm speaking to them, it's like I'm talking to a wall and they don't really care or understand or have an understanding of my disability as much as like having a team of experts and specialists that when they talk to these parties, they listen a little bit better and it's more serious, I feel like. So, heck yeah, Bobby. Made a huge difference.
Awesome. Good to hear. And not that we were trying to get away from you, Jenny. I just, curious. He brought it up a bunch of times, so I thought. And we had a question for you from our good friend Olivia. She asked about pricing, and I know you do cupping too, Shawn. Um, any thoughts?
Um,
Well, what I do, I go to a physical therapist and it's covered under physical therapy. And at first we were doing more manual therapy, which is basically massage, but you code it as manual therapy. And so that's one way to get it covered. Now, I do believe dry needling is not covered, but I'm doing the trigger point injections, and that is covered, and my physiatrist does that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've actually never gotten it covered before. I've tried different massage, acupuncture, cupping, um, and I actually haven't been in most of this year actually, just because we both had to cancel an appointment, and then I just haven't rescheduled. But I was paying out of pocket, and he gives me a flat rate of $60 for the hour, which I think is pretty good and fair. And he even tells me do not tip me, like because I've tried to give him an extra like little 10 or whatever on top, and he's just like, no, dude. He's like the 60's flat. Like he wants to help me out. Like he appreciates that I am in
Yeah.
pain, and like so just maybe it helps to find somebody that and he
And
actually is somebody that went to the London Paralympics and was on the massage team there, like that went for the training staff, was part of the staff. So I'm like,
oh,
he's always familiar with disability. So I'm like, it's a sports medicine place. So that's yeah. If you need the info, Olivia, I'll give it to you. But it's 35 minutes east of me, and I'm probably an hour from you, so it's probably far.
yeah, Olivia, call around because also the one down by my house, they do take Medicare. I'm not sure if you have Medicare or not, but mine takes Medicare.
Shout out our friend Camilla from Chile. Thank you for joining us. I love
Camila.
when we have international audience. I think it's the beautiful power of YouTube and the internet. So shout out Camilla. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody. Olivia, Andrew, Chairline, Leon, everyone. We love you guys. Appreciate everybody who stopped by and
Sure.
hanging out with us today.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, everybody in the chat. And if you guys do have any more questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. And even if they're slightly off topic or whatever, or you just want to give your suggestion, input, we'd love to hear it. So put it in the chat.
I got a question for you, Jenny. Unless you want to go, Shawn, am I cutting you off?
No, go ahead. We go ahead, and then we'll
Okay,
start to
cool.
talk some about disability stuff.
Well, that was going to be my question.
Oh,
Since it is
perfect.
Disability Pride Month and we're wrapping up, is that something that you talk about in your program or your class and having pride in yourself and your disability and our identity? I found like, I don't know, I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of who I've become. And that's all parts of myself. Like I certainly think my disability is a huge part of my identity. It's not only shaped me into who I am, but, the chair and everything is a part of me and how people see me and perceive me. So, like I try to embrace that part of me too, because it is a big part of me.
Yeah, you know what? This is something that I'm still trying to figure out what people mean, because I think there's different meanings of what disability pride means. And so I am with you. Yes, I have accepted my injury. It's part of who I am, but it's not all of who I am. And so there's this thing with disability pride where sometimes I feel like that's all I am, is what people are trying to say. And so I have a weird kind of relationship that I haven't figured out with Disability Pride Month yet because of that. So I would love to hear what you guys think about that, because yes, my disability is definitely part of me. And if I wasn't disabled tomorrow for some reason, I would still be a completely different person than who I was before my injury because of who it's made me. And yet that's not everything about me.
Yeah, I'm kind of
I,
with you here, Jenny, with that word pride. Uh, it's I don't want to be known as Bobby, the wheelchair disability person, and so it is like no, I'm just I have a chair that I use as a tool, a means to get around, and that's no different than somebody who might have a disability within hearing loss, and it's I see them, but I don't know that they have it. They might not be deaf. Walking by, and it just you see mine. So why do I have to? You know, why does that have to stand out in your brain? The person should stand out first, not the chair.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that too. You shouldn't. That shouldn't be the only thing about you that people know or care about, and the only thing that you're like identifying as. So it is an important part of who you are. I definitely agree. Like what Jenny said. Like I, we've asked that question before on here too. Like if you could just somehow take a pill, wake up tomorrow, and not have your disability, or go back and like not go through the experiences, like the experiences I'm grateful for, and the people I've met I am very grateful for, and the person that I have become I'm grateful for. So all that is definitely not anything I would take back or want to go away. And even if I woke up and was just able-bodied in the morning somehow, um, I feel like I would still take a very active role in like the disability community and doing what I like. Like my friends wouldn't change, and
Right.
like the things I want to do wouldn't change. So
And it should be more like disability awareness. I can see that in the sense of access, for making it our access a little bit easier for um, where we live and what we do and jobs and housing and things like that. That I can see as a month. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with disability pride, but I think it can be looked at in a different way. And I think everybody's different, though.
I,
There is an aspect where I am so incredibly proud and grateful for like the Judy Humans of the world who allow us to live the life that we have. Because without her and without so many other disability rights activists, we would not be living the life that we have. So yes, I'm incredibly proud of them and so proud of disability in that capacity. And so I feel like sometimes it's splitting hairs with the meaning of disability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just looked up the word pride and the definition because that always kind of helps me better understand what we're talking about here. Is to look up the definition of what I'm talking about. And it says conscious of one's own dignity or proud of a particular quality or skill. And I'm with both, like all of you, in that my disability does not define me by any means. Like it is, and it's not even when someone sees me, I can tell. Like I've had like friends that from the first minute they saw me, they saw Tom, like the human, not necessarily the disability or the chair. And I met a lot of people for the first time where they're very conscious of the chair, maybe too conscious that that's all they're paying attention to or seeing in comparison to me and my personality and who I am. I do like take pride and dignity in like the I don't know if my disability is a quality or a skill, but it has I am proud of how I live. I am proud of my independence and the strength and the skills and the problem solving and the perseverance and everything that I've garnered and gained through overcoming and living my life with disability. I'm very proud of that. Um, but I totally get where you guys are coming from, and really related with what you were saying in that, like, I like what Bobby says, disability awareness or even disability appreciation. Um, pride. I feel like maybe these words are a little synonymous with one another, so it's maybe okay to use, them in relation to one another. And pride is pride, and it's okay. Um, but I'm with what y'all are saying too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I know we've talked about it a little bit before too on here. Like, I think it is more about just taking pride in yourself, your life, who you are, your accomplishments, things like that. You don't necessarily
And
have to be running around proud that like you're disabled, like you're just like where like fist pumping like you're the yeah.
That's that. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think any of us wanted to be a quadriplegic or have a disability. I don't think anybody out there, wanted, whatever their disability might be. But, obviously it takes, you have to have pride in yourself that to continue on with the battle of the so-called life, whatever it may be and whatever you might be doing, of, taking the pride of, getting back up on your feet in a wheelchair term of, and getting out there and playing sports again and going to college and getting your master's and whatever you might do, or if it's just, you know, uh, getting into terms where, hey, I can see myself just going back to painting again, and you know, um, and you just not to give up on life. I think.
Yeah, that's definitely well said.
And did it take you, Jenny, a long time after your injury to have this acceptance of what you went through? I mean, 16
I
is
think
pretty
there were
young.
stages. Yeah, there were stages of acceptance. So I think at about the 3-year mark, I'm like, okay, this is permanent. My spasticity was so out of control. I was, completely over medicated. I'm like, just cut my spinal cord. I was at that point. I'm like, okay, this is permanent. Let's do something. Thankfully, the baclofen pump had just come out, so I got in under the research phase, and that was a game changer. And so, and about that same time, I started driving. So that was a new level of independence. And then several years later, I got to represent Kentucky at the Miss Wheelchair America pageant. And so I met other women and was able to really talk for the first time about bladder and bowel and personal care with other women who really got it. And that was such an important stepping stone for me in that acceptance process. I already accepted it, but I think I was still ashamed of parts of who I was or parts of life with a spinal cord injury. I could not talk about my bladder and bowel programs, with other friends. So to have friends with spinal cord injuries was so important in gaining acceptance of myself with a disability.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just got back from seeing patients at a rehab, and I was just telling them the biggest thing is don't be like me, where I thought I'm too cool for a support group and being around others and learning. But all of a sudden one day I joined a sport and within quad rugby, and you know looking at everybody, wait, I'm learning now, hold on, wait, where was this? And you can get all that in a support group. Don't be ashamed that you're too cool for it, because you're going to learn so much more. And 35 years later, I'm sure, just like you and Shawn and Tom as well, we're still learning. We're still going to, get tips and tricks and ideas from others who might even been injured 1 year.
Right. Yeah, and sports, you mentioned sports. I think sports was a really important, another stepping stone for me when I started getting involved in tennis and then rugby and rowing. And so all of those taught me more skills, where guys would give me crap for not being able to transfer or, just push me because they knew what I was capable of doing. And they were allowed to push me in that way. Whereas, family or caregivers or friends, aren't quite allowed to give you crap like that. So there is a big bonus in sports as well. But you also mentioned, I think we need peer mentors throughout our life. So as we age, I'm already talking to people who are a couple years older than me. What can I expect? What do I need to be doing now to keep me in as good a shape as possible? And so I think you're never too old or too far into your injury to need a peer mentor.
Absolutely.
No, definitely, yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, like, and I'm sure it's the same for Bobby and Shawn. Like, 20 plus years into this, like, I'm still learning. I mean, I think it's still kind of necessary to continue to learn and like continue to be conscious of the necessity of that, because our body is changing and like we change and our environment's constantly changing, and like so many things change in our life, and our ability to adapt and learn to handle that change is, I think, paramount to success and continuing to stay healthy long term.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Tell us. You mentioned before we went live here, about your job, a little side job that you're doing with your writing and with New Mobility magazine. Tell us a little bit about that and how long you've
Yes.
been.
Yeah, well, I started off writing for a urological supply company. You guys probably are familiar with Bard.
Yeah.
One of the women that I actually met at Miss Wheelchair Kentucky, or Miss Wheelchair America, we stayed in touch, and she was like, "Hey, would you like to do some writing for this blog?" And I'm like, "Well, I've never even thought about that, but sure, let me try." And I really, really enjoyed it and saw that what I was writing, especially from my own experience in teaching, was really having an impact. And so that's kind of bled over into writing a book and then also writing for New Mobility. And it's been something I really enjoy.
Yeah, whenever you do your post and on Instagram, I've been following you for a couple of years, and um, so profound all the time. I wish I had that kind of skill, and I just never have. I mean, thank God for Chat GTP now, and I don't mind. Right, I told that to Shawn yesterday. I'm like, hey, do you need a recommendation letter for this grant he's applying for? Because I'll do it. Because now it's a piece of cake. Shawn Fluke, he's a good guy, and write something up good for me. That's my kind of right. Because whenever I sit there and stare at a piece of paper or the keyboard nowadays, it's blank. I can just go blank. Middle of the night, I'm great at writing, but that's
Yes.
in my head. So
Yeah. Well, I think writing helps me process. And one of the reasons, if it's an honor to hear that my Instagram posts are profound. But I just try to be open and honest because I feel like sometimes we get the glossy version of disability and I don't want to give the glossy version. I want to give the real version, and that's so complex. And so if that's profound, that's awesome. I'm doing the job that I hope I'm doing.
Well, I think the nitty gritty, the real stuff, like, being vulnerable and being honest and open. I mean, that is what people really relate to because that's the real stuff. It's what everyone's going through every day. So I think the more like honest and authentic and real you can be, the better. I mean, that's what we try to keep it on Live to Roll is, like, let's get into the nitty gritty, baby, because that's what we all want to talk about anyways, or at least like that's what some of us need to hear because it's not a conversation that we have enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, what is there a favorite type of stories you like doing when it comes to doing the articles, or are you just
No, it's if something really resonates with me, I love doing more of the interview type articles where I get to interview people. First of all, because I get to know more people within the disability community, which I think is always a bonus. But I also feel like I'm learning. So for me, it's such a bonus all the way around of getting to know new people and getting to learn more and really getting to process things. So yeah, it's I can't say that there's any one type that I enjoy more than another.
uh,
That's cool.
last
That's
Um,
last Thursday? I did we have another show that I help host with aging with a disability, but pretty much I did an info commercial on New Mobility magazine. We were trying to think of ideas, and I just say, hey, gang, let's look up New Mobility magazine because they have it can give us so many ideas, and it became an info commercial because um, the articles and the stories and the information that you get is so valuable that I mean everybody, you know, unfortunately print is going bye bye and with everything unfortunately, but you can still get it online, and I definitely recommend taking a look at New Mobility magazine at least once a month and checking out some of the stories. And um, we had Ian Rudder on a few months ago, and just keeping that alive is just so important for us out there and for the information that we receive.
Yeah.
It changed
And
my
I think
life
now
when I was a
print
teenager.
version,
Like, oh, sorry, Jenny, go ahead. You go. I didn't mean to talk
I
over
was
you.
just going to add with No Mobility, follow them on social media because I don't think any of us know what to expect with the print version. I know they're still going to continue printing articles or, having articles, but
Oh,
definitely follow them and sign up for their newsletter because I think that's going to be the way to interact with them from here. Yeah.
It kind of changed my life when I was a teenager. I was growing up and I was trying to learn more about living life
Yep.
with disability. Like I kind of understood my paralysis and what that meant, but I didn't really understand what that meant for my life and moving out and independent living. And it was one of the first resources that popped up when I Googled spinal cord injury. And it was exactly that. It was like a lifestyle magazine on people actually living with disability. And it led me to so many other great resources. But just reading people's interviews and accounts and articles on independent living, articles on sex and dating, articles on sports and different things like that. It was just the real conversation that I was looking for, and it was really important for me in my life at the time and helping me discover my identity and work through acceptance and all this stuff that we kind of talked about earlier. So really, really encourage everyone to go check it out. And it's something I still subscribe to like monthly and read and enjoy too. So
Yeah, I know there's all kinds of great information. Even like the newest one having like some shoulder stuff. I was actually trying to read that and check that out because that's been an issue for me. My whole injury is a shoulder pain, and I know I have issues in there. I get all kinds of cracking, snapping, popping, but yeah, just kind of push through. So no, it's a great magazine and a great thing. So make sure you are following them. And also, Jenny was the one that I asked to interview me about like travel, and I got to be featured a little bit a few couple months back, or I think it was the last issue actually,
I like this
in
issue.
her article just about different travel tech things and tips and stuff. So check that out.
yeah.
shout out. Jenny, do you still struggle with your disability some days? If so, how do you deal with it?
I don't think I struggle with my disability. I struggle with the repercussions.
Okay,
Good. What?
Is that fair?
totally.
Um, so it's not an acceptance issue, but it's the, oh crud, can I get into this bathroom?
Yeah,
Or just more of the societal barriers, the financial barriers, the financial impact of disability. That frustrates the heck out of me.
yeah,
Um, so overall, I'm good with my disability, and yet there's aspects that are still very difficult.
Yeah. Some days you want to say, "Can we have a timeout and you know not deal with this right now?" and
Yeah,
but there's no timeout with it when you have something like this.
right.
Yeah, that was well said. Though.
uh,
That's
on the days you are struggling, um, how do you work through it? Do you just get through the day and wake up feeling better the next? Is there anything you do in particular, anything that helps you get through when you're struggling on those hard days as a result of your disability?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things. So, at first, I feel like my faith is my foundation for my life. And so I think that's really important to me. But if I'm having a rough day, I think talking to another friend who gets it is one of the most helpful things. It's just like, today's really crappy, and you don't have to explain. So I think that's one thing that I also do. Other times, exercise, especially if I'm in pain, exercise is the best thing, and it doesn't make sense, and it is the most glorious thing. And so, just really intentionally working out multiple times a week, I think, is very helpful.
Yeah, I find that's my best medicine and getting out on my hand cycle as many days as I can. It's it I come home pain free. It's tired but pain free.
Yeah. And it's not just physical, it's also emotional, because we have to remember, all the neurotransmitters that we're, making while we're working out. And so I think there's an emotional side to that as well.
Absolutely.
so, Jenny, I'm curious. What do you do for some of your workouts for your exercise and stuff? So for
Yeah.
regular stuff.
So I do row. And so every Saturday morning and hopefully twice a week throughout the summer, I'll be rowing. And so with the Louisville Adaptive Rowing Program, we have a great program here in town. And I do have an erg or a rowing machine. So that's one thing that I'll do. We also have an accessible gym here in town called the Community Fitness and Wellness Center. And we're exceptionally fortunate to have a fully accessible gym. So I go down on Wednesday and Fridays to work out. Yeah, it's incredible. And it's, once again, it's not just physical. There's that social aspect to it where you get to interact with other people.
Mhm.
What else? Usually, if I'm gonna turn on TV for a little bit, my rule is if the TV comes on, the weights come out. So um, try to get some hand weights out and just do something if I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's
if you're
good.
ever interested, I coach online fitness. It's like a CrossFit type of base, and we have 4 classes a day. So if you're ever uh, on those rainy days and need a place to work out, let me know.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Um,
And physiologically speaking, working out makes sense, get all those good endorphins in your body, like it does help, I think, like chemically, like help your body feel better. Um, so heck yeah,
I think on
everybody.
hard days, it's also important to make yourself get out, even when you don't want to. It's so easy to say, I just don't feel like it. It's going to be too much work. But I always, if I make the effort, I'm always glad I did. And so sometimes pushing through that difficult, start to the day is really important.
We've talked about that a lot on the show before, and I am so with you. Like there have been so many times where I've felt like it's so hard for some reason. Like I'm just struggling, having a tough morning, hurting a lot, whatever it is. But I know if I can just get outside, get rolling, get cruising in the sunshine or whatever it is. Just get moving. Like I'll always feel 10 times better than if I stop and just kind of succumb to, the frustration and the not so good feelings. So yeah, that's good advice for everybody out there. Push yourself to promise you'll start feeling better. Even if you're not feeling it, put that smile on your face until you start wearing it and you don't realize you're wearing it.
Yeah, that's what, and it doesn't have to be rigorous working out or anything. Literally, just getting yourself outside, moving your arms, moving, your body, whatever you can do. Just
Even,
just
yeah,
moving.
even as simple as going to a mall and just pushing around a mall. If
Mhm.
that's better access, I mean, I have luckily one of the flattest neighborhoods, so I push my neighborhood or walk with the dogs and the wife, and luckily I have a pretty safe, and everybody's aware that I push in the middle of the street. So, um, but something like a mall, if you can get out, or kind of like you said, you have a rower, the rowing. I have the ski version of it, and always want to get. I keep looking on eBay if anybody's ever selling the rower because I want the rower as well. But yeah, even if you just get a small piece of a home equipment, or like you said, break out the weights during your TV time or something like that.
Mhm.
And this is like a Tom technique. I don't know if this relates to anybody else, but when I'm sometimes I be having a hard time, and it's almost like I kind of unconsciously got into that space based on how I was feeling or had an accident or something, just whatever the struggle is. But I will kind of tell myself, even sometimes I'll tell myself out loud, like, okay, Tom, like, get it together. You got this. Like, we got to make a change, Like, I'll try to consciously, like, make the decision in my brain to try to feel better, like whatever that means. And sometimes it's like physical action, but it's also like kind of resetting in my brain and really thinking about it and being self-aware and kind of like consciously deciding to like try to feel better rather than like staying stuck. And again, this is just maybe it's just a Tom thing that I do, but might relate to some people out there.
Yeah, everybody
I
has
think
their own different methods and things to do to help. So whatever works for you. It's not the same for everyone. Whatever it takes for you to kind of maybe motivate a little bit, get moving, get going. Um, yeah, just got to figure out what that is for you.
Do you still? You mentioned quad rugby. You used to get out there. Do you still ever get back into it a little here and there?
have a team anymore. So Nick just contacted me 2 weeks ago and said, "Hey, we need a zero. Could you come to Houston?" And I had something going on this weekend, and I'm like, "Oh man, I would love to," but I'm like, "You need to know I've not played for 2 or 3 years. You know what you're getting." So, but I would like to. I would really hope that we can get a team started up here in Louisville again.
Oh yeah, and so I'm always interested when different states and cities. So, and it sounds like your area is pretty well accessible in the sense that you even have an accessible gym, and you know those are far few just because of the money and the price. And so, what's it like living out in Kentucky and in Louisville, and accessibility wise, winter wise, things like that.
So accessibility wise, as far as homes, I don't know what it's like out where you guys are, but I would say almost every house has steps up into it. So it's quite difficult just even looking for housing. When I was looking to move out of my parents' house, there were almost no options. And I finally found a condo that was just being built so I could, and it wasn't going to have any steps into it. I'm like, okay, this works. But I really don't. Actually, I had a friend, you guys will all appreciate this. They built a ramp for me. How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
And so there's very few houses that I can actually get in. And so I went over to their house last week. So that was really, really neat. But so accessibility as far as houses is lacking. Um, Medical care. So we have Fraser Rehab here in Louisville. So we've got a great spinal cord injury doctor. Once again, we've got the gym. I'm hoping sports will get a little bit stronger again with the backing of Fraser. So We're hoping for that. I'm hoping for that, and working on to see that. So, and some of the sports, we're getting there. Um, it's been a little disjointed at times, so the rowing program has been good. We want to keep it going and keep it strong. So it's a mixture of things. Weather-wise, it's hot and humid in the summer, which for quad just makes me melt, and I overheat so easily. So I get up at 6 o'clock on Saturday mornings to get down to the river as early as possible because I just know I'm going to overheat, and just kind of go with that mindset. So tomorrow night I'll be going to an event outside. I'm like, oh, just please don't be too hot and humid.
Yeah.
I can deal with the cold a little bit more easily than the heat, actually, because you can always put more clothes on. You can only take a certain number of clothes off. So,
I think all three of us are the opposite. We are big babies when it comes to. I am a big baby when it comes to the cold. I don't deal with it. I don't deal with putting on more clothes. Um, I'm t-shirt, shorts every day,
yeah.
and maybe a sweatshirt. So if I have to go jacket, I'm miserable, or wear pants. I'm just no, not for me. So
I'm with Jen.
but
I'm with Jenny.
go
I
ahead.
can wrap up more, but you can only take so many layers off, like you said. And once I get overheated, like my body shuts down. Like that, whatever
That's how
that overheated goes on, like
yeah.
I get lethargic. It's kind of scary, more so than get cold. I'm just shivering like crazy,
Yeah.
trying to do jumping jacks to warm my body up.
Yeah, that's what. Neither one is fun. They both, especially when you get to that overheat, or when you just get to that like chill. When I get the chill in my neck when it's cold, and like that freezes
Just
up, and
everything.
it's just that pain.
Yeah.
I'm
Everything
done
comes
too
to
on that. But
a
yeah, the
height.
heat is rough too. But Louisville, it's got it. The heat would probably be worse because here I have like my rugby spray bottle in my van, like I'll just spray my face and shirt down if I'm hot in the middle of the day, wherever. I don't care. I'll go in somewhere where they're dripping. Like, and in Kentucky, that's not going to work with the humidity. It's not really going to
Well,
cool you
I'm
down
going to do
much.
that anyway. So
Okay. Well,
And no, Angry Quad, the 15 degrees. I've seen a few of your videos with the snow outside. Good for you. I give you applause. I could not do that.
yeah.
Us Californians, we become very spoiled, and
No, I think my ideal weather would be like 76 degrees, and partly sunny or mostly sunny. Yeah. Can't be all the way sunny because I would actually overheat, but low humidity, just that perfect thing that happens maybe 5 times a year here.
so right now it's 76. And
No.
oh yeah, you got to be my neighbor, Jenny, if you want that perfect. I get it. I live 5 minutes from the beach, so you can't beat that.
Okay,
A
Bobby. All right, Bobby. You're making us all feel jealous over here. I was just kidding.
uh, to change subjects real quick, you brought up book. You wrote a book. You brought up your book. Tell us a little bit about your book, what you put into in the book, and obviously, I'm sure we can find it on your website and by Amazon. But tell us a little bit, why the book and how it came up and what's the book about.
Why the book? All I can say is I just felt like I had a little tap on the shoulder saying it's time. And I had always said I will never write a book. I'm sure all of you guys have heard, oh, you need to write a book. And it's like, what?
Many times.
And I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to do this. And so I actually started working on it without telling anyone, because when you're writing a memoir, it feels very self-centered. But my intention and my focus was really to help the newbies out there. So people with new injuries, that it's possible. Life is not over. But I also wanted it to be educational for the able-bodied community, as well as like medical students, PTs, so that we don't have to explain autonomic dysreflexia every time we see a doctor or a PT or an OT. or a primary care doctor, or if my blood pressure is 80/40, people don't freak out. And so it was really a combination of just telling my story and trying to weave in that educational aspect with it. It's called Live the Impossible, how a wheelchair has taken me places I never dared to imagine. And I would just so frequently at the beginning of my injury just say, that's not possible, because I had never seen someone else do it. And so I think there's so much that is possible if we get out of our comfort zones. And I think that's the hardest part, is just to try something new. I didn't want to try sports. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I did not want to do anything I wasn't going to be good at. And I was, as a really good athlete prior to my injury, I didn't want to suck at sports. But trying something new, it just gave me that physical outlet that I'd been missing. So there's just a little bit of everything within the book.
Awesome. And obviously we can get it on your website or Amazon.
On my website, it's on Amazon. It's you can get it at bookstores, so you can order it from bookstores. Yes.
Yeah.
It's available anywhere you get books. It's also in an audio version. I really wanted to offer that for people who had difficulty.
Now you're talking my game.
Yes.
Bobby,
I'll listen
Bobby
for
doesn't
sure.
like to read.
As well. Yeah. So Kindle book as well. So all the things. Yeah.
Cool.
And then I do have the second book, which is the workbook called The Journey, Discovering Emotional and Spiritual Health After Disability. And that's the material that we go through within the support group that I offer online. But you can do it individually. You can do it with a counselor. You can do it with other friends. So that's available as well.
You can do it with Jenny over 8 weeks, right? Heck yeah. I'm really excited to check out the website and check out the workbook and check out your book. But I think all of that's super, super interesting. And just like what you had mentioned, one of our biggest goals, I think one of my biggest goals with Live to Roll is to try to lay a good foundation for those coming up behind, the newly injured and the people that have been, like we've had the privilege and the experience of going through a lot and going through this hard, rough road, but we learned so much along the way. And I think now, we got a responsibility to try to leave behind some good information and some good tips and some good tricks and, everything that we've learned over these years for those newly injured individuals to go about it and have an easier time learning and discovering some of the stuff that we had to the hard way. So I think that's super, super amazing.
No, it certainly is, yeah. And that's definitely what we're all, I think, about and love to do, is to be able to help the community, and not only new people, but people that maybe didn't get the right information or didn't have a community for the first part of their injury. Like sometimes that happens with disability. You're out somewhere where you don't have a support group. You don't have it's easier now online, but still some people don't find it. So. Oh, Tom says you muted yourself.
Yeah, you might have muted.
I think sometimes the mic. But yeah, no, that's great. So let's actually real quick, Tom, while you're doing that, I'm just gonna since we're getting near the end, I'm gonna do a quick thank you shout out to our sponsors for the channel. So I do want to thank our sponsors, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a DME company here in Southern California. So if you're anywhere in the Southern California area, you need a wheelchair, shower chair, standing frame, anything like that, please give them a call. Information is down below. They have great people, great staff, and they're there to help get everything taken care of for you. And then Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they are nationwide. So if you need catheter supplies anywhere in the country, you can get them shipped, and they will take care of all, the insurance, anything like that. They'll handle all the hard work, so you don't have to handle as much of that stuff, and you just get it taken care of and make sure you're getting all your supplies you need to pee and poop and everything like that.
Unfortunately, they don't ship to Chile, so
yes.
Our friend earlier.
Sorry, Camilla.
Camilla, yeah. Go ahead, Tom. You were saying something.
Um, I was just saying we were talking about newly injured people and reaching out and affecting people. I was saying I hope it's like my huge aspiration one day is for Live to Roll to go international, so we can go and talk to people around the world who are living with disability, learn how different parts of the world do it. Like we're so fortunate and blessed to live in the U.S. and there's so many amazing resources and rehab facilities and doctors and stuff, but there's not so much of that, I think, in certain parts of the world. And it's one of my biggest interests and passions is to understand how they all do it, how they all live, but also to maybe have a conversation about improving those, services and awareness and everything in those places too.
I was just in Honduras earlier this year, actually doing a conference on the emotional impact of disability. And it's overwhelming. I've spent a lot of time in Mexico and Afghanistan, all around the world. But to be there with people with disabilities, primarily spinal cord injuries, but a couple other disabilities as well. We are exceptionally fortunate. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that even on the worst day, we've got it pretty good.
Yeah, I always try to keep that perspective too when I'm having a tough day. I'm like, okay, remember all that you have to be grateful for and how fortunate and blessed you are, because we really are out here. That's for sure. It can help provide a good
And to
perspective sometimes.
answer Bernard, yeah, you can take your chair there and get fixed for cash. And if that's too far for you, Bernard, I got another guy for you who works out of his garage. So hit me up.
There we go. Yeah, there's
And
definitely
I
ways of.
believe someone else asked the name of the book again. I believe it's Live the Impossible.
Yes, live the
Is that the
impossible.
whole thing? Okay,
How
sweet.
a wheelchair has taken me places I never dared to imagine. Yeah, but
Cool.
live
And
the
it's available everywhere.
yep,
Yep. So
What's
yeah,
the name of the workbook too?
the journey,
Okay.
discovering emotional and spiritual health after disability.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super excited to check them out. We always wrap the show up with asking our guests for those who are newly injured, those who are maybe well into their injury, but looking for some resources or some change or some help. Do you have any advice or any general advice that you would give to someone who's maybe going through it at the beginning or struggling with their disability at this time?
I think my biggest advice is just get connected with others. I think during those difficult times, they can not only support you, but you can also learn. And I think that learning aspect is the important part. Um, the support with learning is just going to help you grow. I hate to say that it gets easier, but New Mobility actually had a great article on this, I think a month or two ago, but you learn how to do hard better. So it may not get easier, but you learn how to do hard better. And I really like that saying so much better. So you learn how to do it. You'll get there.
Dang, I could have used that today when I was talking to some patients. I'm like, it does get easier, but it's like, but
So cliche.
yeah, I like that much better.
Yeah.
No, that's a great piece of advice, and that's what we definitely are all about. That here, the community finding that help, because that is the best support you can get. The best where you're going to get the best information, where you're going to get somebody that understands what you're going through. So definitely great advice for everyone. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick shout out of our other Live to Roll shows coming up for the week, and then we'll go ahead and get wrapped up here for today. But tomorrow we got Tom coming back.
We
T-Fish
got
every
on
Wednesday.
Thursday. We got Tom coming back on Thursday. I had a
Oh,
care situation change, and Wednesday afternoon is going to be kind of hard.
oh,
Maybe I can get back to it, but I'm going to do it Thursday this week. Everybody.
okay, so Thursday after the rolling with the golden oldies. So let me show. We'll go
Yeah, it's a double feature.
tomorrow. We'll have to. Yeah. See, so nothing going tomorrow. We're gonna postpone the gaming for Thursday. But rolling with the golden oldies is also this Thursday. They were originally talking about travel, but their Julian is not going to be able to make it, and she has a lot of info. So they're actually going to do a little bit of just an open discussion, talk a little bit about disability pride as well and different things like that. So the following month they'll be doing some travel talk, but they're a great group of women, great a lot of experience and a lot of great advice. So check their show out. And the following Thursday, oops, Bobby will be back with Robert and Luis on the fourth Thursday, I mean on the second Thursday of next month, doing another show on aging with disability on Rolling Over the Hill. And then also on the following week after that, we will have Wheel Girl Talk. So don't forget to follow the channel, to click subscribe to get all these different shows. And then or actually, no, we got two more because we have our show. We also have Monday Gaming with Hell Wheels. We have another gaming stream on Mondays at 5 p.m. So make sure to tune in. Check out if you want to get on the gaming. Send a message in the chat. And then Tuesday, we'll be back again with another show. And as always, we'll be hanging out for the hour Tuesday, 3:30. So make sure to come back, check us out next week as well. And thank you everybody for in the chat. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your experience, and just talking some disability pride and kind of what that means. So we'll definitely have you back on and share everything. Make sure you guys follow her on Instagram, follow her website, subscribe, get that book. And yeah, anything else you want to close with,
Go
Jenny?
and sign up for the workshop too.
The workshops.
Yes.
There you go. Thanks, Tama. Yeah, the workshops as well. So make sure lots of cool stuff and great resources from Jenny. So make sure to check that out.
And
I
don't
would
forget to hit our like button there.
like, subscribe, click the bell if you want to get notifications for all the shows coming up during the week. And we appreciate
We're
all you
almost
guys.
we're almost at 14,000 subscribers. Help us get there.
Yeah,
Hit
help
that
us
subscribe button.
get
We
over the.
appreciate everyone. And it'll also get you notified of the show when we do go live. We have a ton of great content. And if there's anything that we didn't get a chance to touch on in the show, come hang out. The gaming streams are really great because we're here for a couple hours just talking, chatting, no agenda, so we can continue the conversation. $20 super chat for Tom's baby face. Let's go. Thank you, Olivia. I
Hashtag clean
appreciate
shaven.
it. I shaved it right before the show. I was like, oh, look at these silver foxes. I got to be the young gun on the show and, keep it clean. Thank you, Olivia. I'll talk to Shawn about getting that $20 put in my account. Just teasing.
Yeah, we do appreciate you, Olivia. And yes, Tom is looking nice there with his baby face, clean shave.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love.
I'm trying to grow my beard out since it's getting grayer like Bobby's there.
It looks good. You guys look good. It was making me want to try to compete, but it's hard with you guys. You look so good.
All right, you guys. Thank you all in the chat for watching. Thank you, Olivia, again. We appreciate that. But we appreciate everybody just watching, hanging out, engaging in the chat. And like I said, make sure you're following us, following Jenny, and check out all the great content coming out. Support the community. Thanks, you guys. Live to roll.
It was so great to have you on, Jenny. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I told Shawn.
Thank you. Wonderful. I'm so grateful for what you guys do.
We're grateful for you too, Jenny, and all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you guys all.